Nattie Neidhart, I wanted to welcome you to Casuals. Thank you so much for being here. It's very, very cool to meet you. You are a living legend. I mean, I don't want to say that my first time encountering you was on a reality show, but it was. It's where I think a lot of people may know you from Divas, from Total Divas. But obviously, as a wrestler, the career that you've put together and what you've done for women in wrestling it goes without saying. You are an absolute legend, and it's very cool to talk to you today. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I was just telling you this before we started rolling. I'm almost at the pictures of your book. So I'm being honest. That's transparency. I tried. I have ADD. Reading is so hard. It takes so much longer than it should. But this is such a compelling book about your life. I obviously no spoilers for the end, but it's just your name and your family name is synonymous with wrestling. It's like the Hart family and wrestling it's just, they go hand in hand, especially to a casual fan. And it was so fascinating to me to hear it from your side, specifically towards the beginning of the book, when you're talking about you saying, even just expressing that this was something you were interested in as a woman in the family, it was groundbreaking to you because that would have been the first woman to do the wrestling. Talk to our listeners a little bit about that because that fascinated me.
Well, for me and my family, like I have my grandfather wrestled. He was, a pioneer. He was the root of greatness in our family. He started all of it. So he was an amateur wrestling champion of Canada, and then he started his own wrestling promotion called Stampede Wrestling, and then his sons all became wrestlers and his daughters all married wrestlers. And so for me, I'm the first female in my family that actually does this, competes in the ring. And it's sometimes growing up, it was like the weight of that legacy. It's like, do you get smaller? Do you shrink yourself to fit in, or do you make yourself bigger to stand out? And I always felt like the weight of that legacy, in a way that I never wanted to let my family down or disappoint them. But how do you measure up to some of the greatest pro wrestlers that ever lived when they are your uncles, and my grandfather? So it's just, for me, I take it one day at a time. But one thing I loved about writing this book, and let me just grab it here real quick. I'll hold it in my
Yeah,
hands.
please. I've got mine. If you need me to flip to a certain page, I'm happy to do so. I'm a great student.
One thing I loved about writing the book, though, is that it allowed me to have my family as that foundation. Like, my family is the foundation of my story, but the book it's not about them. And it's actually not even really about wrestling as much as it's about relationships. Wrestling, pro wrestling, my journey in wrestling, it's the backdrop. It's the backdrop to a story about relationships. And the book reads like a storyline. And I think that's why people are reading it so fast. It's a very, very easy read. I designed that on purpose so that no reader is left behind. I wanted people that liked wrestling, hated wrestling, knew nothing about wrestling, felt indifferent about wrestling, sort of liked wrestling. I wanted everybody across the board to be able to understand the book and fall in love with it.
Yeah, I'm learning so much about wrestling. My fiance is diehard wrestling fan. He is encyclopedic in his knowledge of any wrestling. I've been to AEW shows. I've been all over, New Japan. He loves wrestling through and through. And it's very funny that as I'm reading this, I keep bringing things up and being like, like Stu Hart. And he's like, what, how do you know that? And I was like, well, I'm reading Nattie's book. So I feel very educated on how it all worked and fascinated by the idea of a child growing up in this environment, just because of the nature of the business
Yes.
of wrestling that your father was in, and the sort of volatile business of when you're working, it's good, and when you're not, it's really, really bad. And the ups and downs of that for you as a child, and how that would weigh on any decision you made in regards of signing up for this lifestyle. It's triumphant, I feel like, your story, because it shows that you stepped up and did it even though you were afraid that you could possibly ruin your family's legacy or also your own life because of how difficult it is. I don't mean to overstate, but it's a very difficult lifestyle, especially to raise a child in.
And it's a very volatile industry. So when the industry was good, our family was okay. And if the industry was in a bad place, our family was not in a good place. Like we would, I document that in the book that there was just highs and lows. And when you're growing up, like in kids, you're riding the school bus and kids, they think your dad is, your dad's on TV. He's rich and famous. He's got to be rich because you guys are on TV. And then the following week, my dad would lose his job and then we would have nothing, because it was not back then. There weren't guaranteed contracts in the industry, so it was very volatile. So it was just up and down and highs and lows. And growing up, I was just used to having the rug pulled out from under me so much that I, as a trauma response, wanted to create stability in my own life to where I created this shield around myself that I wasn't ever going to let anybody take away everything I had. So I was going to outwork everyone. And in my mind, I was going to be the person that I thought everybody would want me to be so that I could always have a seat at the table. But then I realized in writing the book, I was like, part of writing this book was me realizing that I finally found my voice. I finally became the person that I always wanted to be. And a lot of that was letting go of trying to make everybody else happy. And I think a lot of us, especially I meet a lot of women that are, recovering people pleasers. And I've been talking about that a lot as I've been promoting the book, that I just felt like so much of my life, I was like, it's not just in my career in the ring, like not just in WWE, but even with my parents and my teachers at school. I wanted to be a straight A student. I wanted to be the perfect kid. I wanted to, I was the middle. I'm the middle of my sisters. I'm the middle child. And I just never wanted to get in the way. I wanted to make everything easy for everyone. And so sometimes you put yourself last and you make yourself smaller to fit in. But when I started doing my best work in WWE, it was when I started to just be myself and be unapologetic about it.
Yeah, you talk a lot about that, about the pressures that you felt when it came to women's wrestling and where it was at the time that you were trying to break into it, to feel and look a certain way. There's a lot of emphasis on being a model, on being, doing body shows, and you talk about this quite a bit. This resonated with me so much, and I wonder if I could just like have a conversation with you about this feeling, because it is for somebody who loves it's so clear in here, Nattie, you love wrestling.
Yes.
You understand it and you love it. And it came to you whether you wanted it or not. You tried to deny that you wanted to be a wrestler, and wrestling was like, you can't. Here we are, and kept presenting itself to you like that. But to then have to find out that in order to get to the thing that you're destined to do, you have to participate in this other side of it that does not speak to you, that you have spent no time working on because you were so focused on the other stuff. That resonated with me as a woman in sports, that I've always felt like, I just want to talk about loving the sports. I do not want to have to know how to do my eyebrows. I don't want to know how to like present myself to be something that doesn't feel authentic to me. And it was just a fascinating insight to see that you went through that too. And I wonder like how you plowed through that, what I imagine was initial like disappointment when you found out that you were going to have to perform those rituals and be judged on how good you were at that in order to be able to wrestle professionally.
Well, it's just, you just go through different eras in the industry. So, and that's the cool thing about where we're at now in WWE, is that we're in such a good place, thankfully, that women's wrestling is really being...
Well, thanks to you.
Thank you.
Partially thanks to you, if I may.
Thank you. No, it's been a road to build, and there's been a lot of women who alongside me have been helping build that road. But my thing is that you got to do whatever it takes. And because I wanted to wrestle so much, I kept waiting and, going into work and being like, one of these days it's going to change. One of these days I'm going to walk into work and everything is going to be different. And luckily that change has come for the women in WWE, but there was a long road of, women just having just a very small role on TV and us really longing and wanting for more. And it's just hard because, you didn't want to speak up. I admired a lot of the women that had spoken up in our industry. Like I admired the girls that had the courage to, be a little defiant, like AJ Lee and the Bella Twins, for example. I admired them because they were standing up for women like myself, that I just was scared to say, hey, like, we need more than like 90-second matches. we need more than Divas Best Body Dance-Offs, or Divas Best Body Contests or Divas Dance-Offs as we would call them, but like, or a Santa's Little Helper match where we were all dressed
Oh
like,
God.
and that's the thing is
Oh
that I
God.
think at that time it was like we were just in this awkward era where it wasn't like the Attitude Era that was before us, but we weren't really in this women's wrestling revolution yet either. So it was just there was an awkwardness, but thank goodness we're in a great place right now, and it's been a lot of work getting there.
Yeah. Again, thank goodness, but thank you. You pushed for it to be more than what it was, and so
Thank you.
genuinely, thank you as a woman. I'm curious to know if writing this book, in the process of doing so, if you learned anything about your relationship with your father. It's sort of a through line through the book. It comes up as you're telling your own story. We sort of check in on how things are going with you and your dad, and there's a lot there. And I don't want to make you talk about any of this if it brings anything old up for you. But I just, in the process of writing the book, I wonder if you were like, wow, I'm actually seeing it from a different perspective now with all that I know, and if anything changed about your, I guess, the image that you have of your dad and your relationship in your head through the process of writing the book.
Yes, I mean, by the time I was done writing the book, I really forgave my dad. Like I really was able to look at our relation because I dedicate the book to my dad. But I was able to forgive him for hard times that we had gone through because I was really able to fully understand and reflect on everything. The good, the bad, the hard times. He was the man that, he shaped me. He shaped me for the good. He shaped me for the best. I mean, he hurt me emotionally. He was struggling. My dad was going through so much for most of his adult life, all of his adult life. He was really, really struggling with mental health, with anxiety, with depression, just with living. And I could never figure out when I was a kid and a teenager and adult, I could never figure out why my dad was making these bad choices. Like, why was he acting the way that he was acting? Did he just not love us enough? Why did he keep making these same mistakes and putting our family, especially when we were kids and teenagers, like, he just kept losing his job. It was just, we had no stability growing up. We were always used to the rug being pulled out from under us. And by the time I was done writing the book, I was able to really reflect and like fully forgive my dad because I think he was just doing the best that he could with the tools that he had.
Yeah, it was remarkable to me how much, and I don't know if you noticed this, but of course you did, it's your life. How many times there would be like a big thing about to happen for you, and then like a big difficult thing happened with him. And it just, they always say you never know what somebody's going through in their life, but it's just the amount of times that you were trying to figure out your next big thing. It was a big moment for you, and also had to sort of help him deal with him. It was remarkable to me as a daughter of a father.
It's because I love my dad so much. I would do anything for him.
I mean, you do. I think you could argue that a lot of what you do and how seriously you take wrestling is because of the respect that you have for your dad and the love that you have for your dad and your family, because that's what it was. That's how you saw it and how it got into your blood. I mean, truly, the biggest takeaway from this, two big takeaways. You're born to be a wrestler and you're doing exactly what you were meant to do, and you're doing a phenomenal job of it. Second takeaway, you and your husband are in love.
Yes.
You guys are so cute. It is such the way you write about it is so cute. The way that him being the one that was like, hey, I think you should get in there and do that. And meanwhile, you had been wrestling with yourself about like, how do I tell him I want to get in there and do that? What an embarrassing thing to say. And then for him to say it before you could even say it to him was just like, this is the way you write about him and the letter that he wrote you. I cried reading. I was like, this is the sweetest, most like guy who loves wrestling and loves girl. It was just so clearly, and it's really, really beautiful. And
Thank you.
And I was talking to my fiance about him. And he was like, he's like, everybody loves him. He's just the greatest, and he loves her. And it was just, I don't know. I just thought that was very, very sweet, and something I would recommend people read the book to see your guys' relationship.
That's one thing that's really cool about the book is that it just has everything.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm very proud of the book because it's got everything. It's got a love story in it. It's about perseverance. It's about finding your voice. It's about gaining people. It's about losing people. It's about pro wrestling too, but like I said, it's more of a setting of the story, but like there's just really fascinating characters in the book, big, larger than life characters. It's just really special.
Thank you so much for coming by and for sending me this book. I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to. I'll have to just like relentlessly slide into your DMs to talk about the end when I finish it.
Please slide into my DMs. I really want to hear what you think about the finish.
Oh, it's so great. Thank you so much, Nattie.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.